Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
Chiefs Brumbies. Well, I'll rattle through a quick few things here so we can push on. So you got Natua Akoi, who was rested last week. Sam Penny Finau, we think he's back from a shoulder injury, and maybe for the Brums, Tom Cusack. They keep saying he's almost back. So we expect that, if he was almost there for the final of AU, he should be back this week.
Yeah.
They're their changes that we're expecting. Other than that, the Chiefs conceded 19 penalties and 17 turnovers against the Force. They just couldn't get their game going. Not only that, they've now had to fly all the way back to New Zealand, which, roughly, again, a 20-hour flight. There's a lot of travel there after an emotionally draining final in New Zealand and then going to Perth and back. I think it could be hard for them to get up against probably Australia's best side or most consistent side.
Yeah, I think certainly I would say even though the Reds won, my impression is the Brumbies game plan, just the ability to change it up, I think suits New Zealand opposition. I think they match up pretty well against New Zealand opposition, and for that reason, I think the Brumbies will get it done. Just trying to think, they didn't really have any real issues out of the back, like injury-wise or anything like that, did they? Out of the back of last week?
No, I don't think there was actually any new injuries that came in last week. So they're still obviously missing Slipper, Pete Samu. I don't think we're expecting back.
Not going on tour, yeah. No one else is coming back in for them.
Yeah.
But interestingly, there were a couple changes in the back. We saw the first of Solomon Ikata that we've seen, I think, all season. And what an addition. I think he's grunt, and he plays very differently on the wing, obviously, to Muirhead. Completely different style of player. But the Brumbies led pretty much every attacking stat except for meters. So tackle, bust, line breaks. This back line for the Brumbies really offers a real threat for them there, and they've got such a solid base in their forwards. It's going to be interesting to see if they can get a win here.
Well, in a way, you talk about the forwards, and I know that some former players who are now experts in Australia hate it when people say this, compare Aussie teams to New Zealand teams, but there's a bit of the Kiwi about the way the Brumbies play. How they obviously launch off line out, whether it be through maul or off the top, and then you've got such a brutal scrum as well. That's what I mean about the matchup. They can play that sort of rugby if they need to.
I think they have a very well-rounded game. They're the team with the least holes in their side in the way they play the game, whereas every other team in Australia, I think there's ways they can and ways they definitely cannot play.
Yeah.
You mentioned the scrum. How about the Chiefs scrum this year? Aiden Ross has just been on absolute fire, tearing apart New Zealand scrums, and they were huge again last week. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Brumbies scrum, which hasn't been kind of as reliable as you would think this year, and how they match up against the Chiefs.
Just on that, how do you reckon Scott Seo's gone this year?
Look, I actually think, looking at him last weekend and a few weeks recently, I think he's done better than I expected. Early on in the year, he was thrown into that starting side with another slipper injury, and they seem to really, really struggle.
Well, he was a late starter too, I think, wasn't he? He was coming back from
he's had a couple of injuries of his own for sure.
Yeah, so he's been in and out, but I don't know. I think he's been better in recent weeks than he was early on in the year, but I do feel like he hasn't reached back to where he was, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, we haven't seen the best of him for 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
What was your take on that? What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I just didn't think that he'd been at his absolute best, and I think that without James Slipper there, it really gets amplified with the Brumbies scrum. I mean, we know it to be such a good and reliable part of their game, and when it's not, you kind of go, oh, okay. Yeah.
But I think it's even more obvious in the last 20 when you're now bringing on these rookie front rowers rather than having someone as experienced as Scott Serra coming off the bench. You know, even not in his best form, he's not setting the world alight, but he's still a bloody good front rower.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Well, I think it was a couple of weeks ago we were touching on the difference of the Brumbies scrum with slipper and without slipper, and rates of scrums, that sort of thing against the Reds, and there was a stark difference. There was definitely a significant difference. So slipper's just, improved year on year in recently, and I mean he's been given this second chance at the Brumbies, and he's really taken it. What else do we have to look at here? Harry's man. Every week he talks about he needs to see Chase Tia get a chance.
Last week he did.
We see D-Mac shift into 10. Was it as good as you expected?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, Chase Tia scored, didn't he?
I don't know. Did he? He didn't seem to do too much.
And that's been a discussion all year. How do you balance that? I mean, Mackenzie was 15, but he was playing 10 most of the time anyway, wasn't he? It was a strange setup.
Personally, I think that D-Mac just plays 15 and you just drop Jonah Lowe. Or now they've got two new wingers because Nano Saturo has gone back to the sevens program. And then Chase Tia plays on one of the wings like he did for the Hurricanes so often. But I don't think they're going to do that. They've made it pretty clear that Chase is only a fullback and he only gets a run if D-Mac's not there. So I just don't understand. I think they need a pick and stick at 10 because otherwise they're going to have the same problem next year. Caleb Trask, I thought this was his year to get a chance. They bring in Bryn Gatland and then they all play 2 games at a time and then not again for a month.
Well, Bryn Gatland certainly hasn't set the world on fire, has he? I mean, I would have thought Mackenzie's your 10 and put Chase Tutu at the back.
I think the worry is though that they failed the 10 experiment with him already in the past. And I genuinely reckon that Bryn Gatland and Caleb Trask both had their moments when they played. They just need someone to back them. Like I would pick both of them over a Terra Black, to be honest with you, on current form.
Yeah, look, I'm probably more in your camp. I'd love to see D-Mac starting at 15, working himself into a game, and then you're pushing him forward, in that last 20 minutes, and he can get involved as more regularly to finish off the game like he has so many times throughout Super Rugby Aotearoa. I don't know. I think they do tend to have a lot of attacking weapons in the outside backs, and sure, Tia is one of them, but they haven't had 2 firing wingers at any point this year, I don't think.
No, not at all. Luke Jacobson, we play obviously fantasy footy. I was fretting not only because he got me minus 30 points this week, but a red card, how many weeks? I thought it was just a stock standard. You get 3 weeks, don't you? No matter what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
No further sanction. Can confirm he's here.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that email come out as well, based on what has been going on.
At least I think it was not rolling away, and it was a team, cynical consecutive penalties for that second yellow, which turned it into a red. So I guess it's a little different. But I did think it was automatically a game if they had a red, to be honest with you.
No.
Yeah.
This is an interesting battle of those back rowers touching on him. Luke Jacobson, Lachlan Boshier.
You're going to ask what I think you're going to ask?
No, I'm not going to ask. Yes, okay. Sam Cane or Lachlan Boshier, if you could only pick one of them.
No, Sam Cane.
So does he get you there on leadership and experience?
Yeah, it's a massive part of it. Yep.
Do you see him like that's a legitimate answer. That's fine. But do you think he's as pivotal around the field, with ball in hand in defence? Or do you think his leadership is just so heavily weighted?
He probably doesn't carry as well. I'll give you that. I would say I was going to say he's better over the ball. Would you agree with that?
Say.
Huh?
I said that's not what the stats say.
Is that right?
Yeah, no. Boshier was miles ahead last year, like a country mile ahead of everyone last year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he just doesn't have that leadership. Kane's got that, I don't know, just something about him that, puts him in there as a leader, and he's hard to drop.
Yeah.
I completely disagree.
But if we also
I don't get it, mate. He hasn't won anything as a leader.
No,
if anything, when he was the leader of the Chiefs last year, they were horrendous.
Yeah, that's fair. And Suakula in the 6 jersey, I think we're going to see him there again.
Yep.
For the Brumbies, how good's Valentini been? I mean, they shift him to 8, and he's just as pivotal there.
Well, he is. So there's a player you talk about sticking with and giving time. And I know that, over the last couple of years, he's missed a fair bit of rugby through injury, but he's been fit this season. And he is that, how long have we been saying that we want a damaging back rower who can run and hurt people, basically? Like a Kefu type player.
Yeah.
And he's finally delivering on that. And he's going to be pivotal when it comes to the Wallaby season as well. So no, he's been terrific. But I love the fact that that the Brumbies somehow, and they've done it over the years, when Pocock was injured, they'll bring in a player. And again, they've done it this year with Luke Reimer in the last couple of weeks as well. They just keep finding back rowers who look completely at home when they're given their opportunity.
Yeah, there's just something about the Brumbies, really. Yes, I think that's where they keep. They've got the best wealth in the back row, but you can just pull someone into any jersey in their side, and they seem to look at home. It's something that the Crusaders have always done. And
there must be something about not only the rest of the team functioning well makes it easier to come in and do a job, but there must be something around the level of clarity that they're giving these young players coming in, where they just worry about their role and they simplify things. Whereas I think in some of the other sides, the Waratahs obviously come to
everything.
You drop in, it's like, oh, there's so much wrong happening around you. Good luck trying to fix it, kind of thing.
Just go out and try your best, young fella.
Seriously, I just don't think that they can possibly be the same clarity of what they're doing. When they're doing these sides. Whereas Reimer's a perfect example. I don't think he was even contracted to the Brumbies before. Was he? Isn't he out of Shute Shield?
Yeah.
He's had a lot of time with them.
No, he's an ex. The reason it's resonated with me is I'm involved with Linfield Juniors, and a lot of people walking around the other week with their chest stuck out. Luke Reimer's a former Linfield Junior. He's done a bit since then, but obviously through Gordon, and what a great opportunity. But even like Jerome Brown is another example. Like when he comes into the side, Jerome Brown. And he's awesome. And then to the point where he gets injured and everyone says, well, how are they going to replace Jerome Brown?
Yeah.
And so they keep, churning him out. You might be right about the clarity of it. And then that leads to the further discussion about what a good coach Dan McKellar is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. There's just something going on in the Brumbies that, there's not a big, a large base to pick players from. So they tend to pick from other states, but they just build these players right through.
Yeah. I got one question before a tip, Nick. Samisoni Takiaho or Nathan Harris at hooker?
Takiaho, I think, because he's just a little bit more damaging, I reckon. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, no, that's where I'd go.
It's win-win, isn't it?
Yeah. You don't look, but there again, how fortunate to be able to have that dilemma.
Yeah. And isn't it Bradley Slater's their third choice as well, who's also been in excellent form in every opportunity he's had. So, yeah, they're not short of good hookers, but I think it's a good point. The difference between the two is probably Takiaho around the park is just so damaging with ball in hand.
It reminds me of, the situation that the Hurricanes have got now as well with Coles, who's obviously, again, offers so much around the field, but I'm just trying to think. Amua would you say he's their second or their third choice?
Yeah, he's their second now.
This year, I think he's their second. Riccatelli.
Yeah, so he's overtaken Riccatelli.
Yeah.
But
again, we'll take Riccatelli.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
The Brumbies seem to be in a similar position with hookers. They've just got a long list of really good potential young hookers as well.
Yeah. Lonergan's been terrific, hasn't he, really?
Lonergan's great.
He has been, yeah.
Yeah. But look, I mean, the Waratahs, we've got a couple. We'll take a couple off their hands happily. They seem to have enough of them. But look, if you've got to make a tip in this one, where are you going?
Yeah, I'll go with the Brumbies. I'll go with
All right.
Brumbies by 5.
Oh, you got a margin too.
Confidence.
Yeah, I like it. I'm with you. I was trying to convince myself out of the last one for when we tipped the Australian side of the Force, but the Brums, I actually genuinely think they can win it. I'm going to go Brumbies by 3.
Yeah, I think the Brumbies can do it. I think looking at the last matchups last week as well and the travel factor and things, I think it's going to be too much for the Chiefs, and I think the Brums will get it done.
Yeah,
I'll go the biggest out of all us. I'll go converted try 7 points.
Nice. Okay, good. Very good. I hope we're right.